This program is brought to you by thepodcastfactory.com.
Ben Settle, super practical.
I'm not telling people to have a mistress. I'm teaching you, learn the lesson from the people who have a mistress, because there's many business lessons that apply.
Pious.
There's a part in the book of Revelation where Jesus says, I want you either hot or cold. I'm spewing lukewarm churches out. And I think it's a good way to look at your list.
Romantic to his very core.
Once in a while, I'll give my girl a present, like a Snickers bar or something.
And totes tender.
If someone asks you to walk on eggshells, smash the eggshells and let the chips fall wherever they may.
Adored by feminists everywhere.
It takes a strong woman to admit when she's wrong.
Not a judgmental bone in his entire body.
I look at all the free information people give just on Facebook and I go, what a bunch of time hose.
Has a PhD in armchair philosophy.
In the land of dumbasses, the smartass is king.
You'll never meet a more sensitive guy.
If you really care about people, you shame the hell out of them.
The last time we tried to do this, we broke the internet and we got hell for it. Why are we doing this again? What is your problem?
Well, first of all, I didn't know we were doing a Zoom thing. If I knew it was going to be Zoom, I would have said the hell with this whole thing. I wanted to do like a talk radio where they call in and you can't, nobody sees each other. And I could be doing it from the comfort of my bedroom if I wanted to. Now I got to come down to my office and set all this crap up. You had to send me a mic or a camera because my camera sucked. And I had to jerry-rig this window because there's no shade. So like a sweatshirt taped up to keep some of the light off me because my whiteness is blinding enough as it is. Right now, it's still coming in a little too strong.
I'm shocked to see that, man. I thought you were at the beach all the time, bro. What's going on? You covered up?
Oh, yeah. Well, these beaches are not California. These aren't swimming beaches. These are covered head-to-toe beaches. But why we're doing this again, because I thought for the 75th episode, it would be nice to do a milestone type thing. Not just a Q&A episode, but something where people could ask live if they wanted to. And that's the only explanation I have for it.
You're too generous, bro. And this just goes to show, because if we were still partners, I would have talked you out of this shit. But since you're just a client and you boss me around now, it's a whole different game.
Well, we do have a question.
Yes.
I can just read them. It's fine.
All right.
Okay, now we have okay, so I'll read these one by one and we'll just go through them. If somebody asks a question that I deem beneath my contempt, I just won't answer it. The first one is Adam Broom. I wanted to ask, and by the way, we're starting 2 minutes early here, and we're not even charging anyone for this. So everybody should be happy with that.
You're welcome.
I wanted to ask Ben if he has any practical tips for finding your own unique voice and style when writing emails and blog posts. Well, this is the easiest thing in the world. I actually don't know how you don't find your voice. Like, how do you talk? If you were talking to me right now, Adam, whatever you would say, whatever vernacular you would say, whatever figures of speech you would use, whatever tonalities you would use, if you're smart ass, if you're sarcastic, if you're calm, if you're friendly, if you're angry, whatever it is, that's how you write. You just pretend you are talking, except you're writing. That's how you find your unique voice. It's no more and I know there are people who complicate this, and they make good money complicating this. And I don't mean to steal bread off their table, but it really is that simple. Write like you talk. This is Matt Furyism 101. Write, talk right. it's that simple. Jonathan, do you have anything you want to add to this? Because
I think the best thing that I ever really learned, Ben, was just writing daily. And so what I noticed was the more that I wrote, the more I was able to find that voice. And really, it's just like you write shit that doesn't sound like you. You read it out loud and you say, I don't sound like that. And then you correct it. And over time, you just get it to flow like it should, because you're doing it every day.
Well, yeah, that's the more you do it, the easier it gets. Just like when you started talking as an infant, the easier. I'll say this, and I'll leave one more thing here. The worst thing anybody could do is try to swipe another person's blog or email or anything like that. This will become an email player's rule, by the way, Jonathan. And I don't know if I think I invented it, but probably I didn't. And that is, most copywriters are not copywriters. They're just writers who copy. And you don't want to be a writer who copies. You want to be a copywriter.
Writers who copy. I like it.
All right. So David M. And I don't know why you guys aren't putting your last names in here. You guys know my last name. I feel like I'm at a disadvantage here. David M. All right, David M. As a subscriber, I've read a lot more of your emails than your sales letters. How does entertainment and personality fit into cold sales letters? Or do you save that for later when they know you and start getting your emails? Thanks. This is actually a very good question, David M. Or Dave M. you don't want to go too crazy like on the entertainment side if it's cold. You can still work entertainment value in there. Absolutely. In fact, this month's email putter is issued. I actually show an example of a sales letter that did extremely well. It's very entertaining. And it was from this guy, Dr. William Campbell Douglas. And I don't know if you guys know who he is, but he died a few years ago. But he was one of those infotaining newsletter guys you'll ever write. He was in the health niche, obviously. And the headline is, "Why I haven't had a glass of water in 20 years." And the whole sales letter is just trolling the medical establishment. I mean, just every sentence, just trolling something. And it's very entertaining, but it also is serious in it too. You don't want the entertainment to overcome it. You don't want the entertainment to be the showcase. You want the entertainment just to help the reader get started. I don't think it should be as like emails. Like emails, I'll say all kinds of crazy stuff just to rile people up. I mean, I'll talk about the craziest stuff. But in a cold sales letter to cold people, yeah, you have to, you don't want to necessarily let otherwise you're just like a Super Bowl commercial at that point. But you do want to work your personality in there to the extent that you want people to know. Now, Ken McCarthy says something very interesting about this in his Advanced Copywriting for Serious Info Marketers course. It's a very great course. And he talked a little bit about this. He's like, you want to get them in, whoever's going to get them into your buyers, to your fold. After that, you can start unloading your real things. Like if you know Ken McCarthy, he's not out there. Like he's a conspiracy guy to the hilt. And not just a conspiracy guy, but he can actually back up his stuff. He's not like some tinfoil hat guy. But he doesn't come out like in his main sales letters talking about this stuff. He waits till he gets you in. Then he'll talk about that stuff after you've gotten to know, like, and trust him a little more. And that's that's my take on that. And Jonathan, that's only 2 questions we have. I think we're done.
All right. This was short. Everybody said they wanted 60 minutes, but...
Oh, wait. Dave M is asking a follow-up.
Oh, Dave.
All right. Damn you, David. Davey, sometimes I write for the academic market. Writing to educators. From what I've seen, a lot of what they read is dry and boring, and it is. I wonder if I want to stay with what they're expecting to be credible or veer into something less dry, more fun. Oh, Dave Markov. Okay, Dave. This is a good point. Okay, so I actually addressed this a couple of years ago to a buddy of mine named Luis Congdon. And because he does podcasting stuff. On the side, he has a podcast about the dating world and stuff, but it's for people, like a lot of people who listen that are PhDs and all that. And he's like, Ben, I could never do what you do to that market because I could never get away with this. And I said, as usual, Louise, you're wrong. Okay. So just, that's fine. That's just how it is. It's the natural order of things. You were wrong and I'm right. I'm going to prove it. So I went and I found this, I found the weirdest article I could find. And it was about this guy who broke into funeral homes and had sex with the corpses. He got caught. He got caught having sex with corpses. Now I said, okay, let's say you're an academic and you're selling to academics a book on something academic, how to do better, teach lesson plans or something. I don't know what they teach. It doesn't really matter. I said, you could easily work this into an email. You tell them, I saw this in the news, legitimate news story about this guy who breaks into funeral homes and like has sex with corpses, which is like, apparently this is a thing, John. I didn't know this, but there's like a whole Reddit thing. Stephanie Arroyo was telling me about this. There's like a whole Reddit of people like who have sex with skeletons and stuff. It's the weirdest. Makes the Enoch Wars look tame. Looks like the Enoch Wars look like Narnia. When you said
no kidding.
But I said you could just say there was a story about this guy who broke into funeral homes to have sex with the corpses. This is very non-dry at this point, right? Then you segue in to say, and I've noticed that, there's a lot of people's lessons plans are very cold and dry, just like these corpses are. I actually wrote it out. I don't have it in front of me, but I actually wrote it out where it made sense. If you don't, but it didn't harp on that the whole email. It just kind of used that to get people in, and then it talked about that. And he conceded, from my remembrance, you're right, El Bembo, as usual, and all was good. So that's one example. You can still give them their dry, stupid stuff, but you got to bring them in with something, because it goes back to the Mel Gibson thing when he was in this. I don't know where you find this documentary. It used to be on Netflix, but it's like a 30-minute doc. They interviewed like 30 different filmmakers who've written blockbuster or have created blockbuster movies, and he was one of them. And he has this 3 E's thing, and the first thing is you have to entertain people. If you don't entertain them, they're not going to come to your movie at all. They're not going to hear about it. Once you get them in with the entertainment, then you can educate them and all that. But first, you got to get them in with something interesting, something off-putting. You can't be afraid to lose people, and you should almost celebrate it when someone who's really stiff because a dead person leaves your. Dead people don't buy anyway, I'm told. So that's all I got for you, Dave. On to the next one.
All right.
Unless you have something to add, Jonathan. I mean,
No, the cold and dry, that did it for me.
All right. Ben F says, I'm still developing my own product, but have an affiliate product in the same niche. I can sell in the meantime. Which is a good idea. Get some sales rolling in. What would be a good ethical bribe to get people to opt in for my list? Well, you're creating a product, so if it's broken down by chapters or sections, just give the first chapter or section away. And then when they get that, build it into I don't know if it's audio, video, or whatever it is. Build in and opt into that. Say, look, I'm creating the rest of this program right now. If you'd like to be on a list where you can get it at a discount when it launches, go to this site and opt in. And that way you can start building a sub list too. And that's a very simple way of going about it. All right. DJ asks, I have a few popular Instagram accounts, and I guess those go with his skirts, Jonathan. I don't know. Instagram. I'm kidding. Just kidding. Over 100K and around 95K followers. Well, that's I don't know what that means in terms of sales, but is that the same as likes? I don't know. I don't know nothing about Instagram. So I know there are people who make a lot of money with it though. And DJ, I'm totally messing with you because I'm guessing you do. So, and that is how I build my email list. Even after reading almost everything you've published or wrote, I'm still having trouble getting sales in the women's weight loss and muscle building niche. Is it just too competitive to make money even with a few big Instagram accounts building my list? If you're relying just on Instagram, and especially from what I understand of those markets, you're in a lot of competition, which isn't a bad thing necessarily, because that means there's a lot of people out there. But why are you just focused on Instagram? Why don't you try Facebook ads? Why don't you try other paper like AdWords and PPV ads? And for weight loss, you can do a lot of solo ads can work for that. There's a place called Arcamax, arcamax.com. And if you go to them, they'll do, it's basically a list of just any type of person. But weight loss is such a big part of that, of like any demographic, that when I was doing in the weight loss niche was with Jim Yagi, we used Arcamax to send solo email ads, and we got some pretty good leads out of it and made some pretty good sales. So I don't know if you should I'm not saying stop the Instagram. I think you should keep doing it, but I don't know how to make your ads. I have no idea. I've never used it. Jonathan, I don't know if you've dabbled with it. Maybe Cupcakes dabble with Instagram. I don't know.
I'm fascinated because my little sister, she's 11 years old and she's really into Instagram. And when I asked her how she uses it, it's a consumption device. So she's just looking for some short-term entertainment. And you could be 11 or you could be 33 and you're probably using it the same way, maybe scrolling through and not really clicking out. So I would either do the ads where there's a button on the ad or try to go elsewhere with it.
There you go. From the wise words of producer Jonathan, his 11-year-old niece,
when my sister with no money
knows more about Instagram marketing than I do. Sorry. Okay, Brendan, he asked a question that he asked last night, and I suggested he ask it here so everybody can benefit from it. Lacking a market expert, someone he can go to get market intel about it. Like, in other words, if you have a client, you can go to them for the market research, or a lot of it. You should still do your own, but let's say you're selling your own stuff. You don't have someone to help you with the market research. How would you go about researching a market you may know little to nothing about? Is a site like Quora, I'm probably mispronouncing that, but that's okay, a good starting point? Wherever your market hangs out on the internet or off the internet, it doesn't always have to be the internet. I don't know if it's a forum, Facebook groups, whatever, go be a fly on the wall. Just sit there. If you're really good, start instigating some fights between people. And see, I know it sounds bad, but that's how you're going to get the really passionate people by like disagreeing with somebody or asking questions in a badgering, confrontational way, and they'll get really emotional and they'll start. You want to get other people to start fighting each other. You will get solid gold out of that, and it could do this as long as they're out there in a place. You can do that. So you don't have to start like wars with people and all that, but you could just be a fly on the wall and just look at what they're saying. How are they wording things? What stories are they telling? They say so much between the lines that, especially for emails, you'll never run out of stuff to talk about. All right. Adam Broom, what are the advantages? Are there questions also in the
There's questions all over, so I'm just keeping an eye on them. And if you run out, I know where there's a few pockets that you might not have tapped.
Okay. I do want to answer one question from Frank. just because it's right there. And it's a subject very dear to my heart. Ben, have you thought about doing a sequel to the Villains book? Also, what do you recommend as a tool to set your price? All right, somebody just like chatted, so it threw his question up. All right, nobody type while I read the rest of it. What do you recommend as a tool to set your price for your product? Well, pricing is a tricky thing. I'm not going to even go there because it just depends on your market and you and how good your marketing you are. There's no one way answer that. But have I thought about doing a sequel to the Villains book? I actually have outlined a sequel to the Villains book. I just forgot where I put it. But one day I'll find it and I'll do it for sure. Let's see. I'm going through some of the chat ones just because it's interesting to me. I'm starting a career as a copywriter. I was barely known. Okay, let's talk Patrick. All right, nobody type anything. I just lost it. I'm starting a career as a copywriter in a country where copywriting is barely known. Maybe 5% tops. The 200 top marketing agencies even know what copy means. How would you start your agency consulting in this kind of environment, Patrick? All I will leave you with this. Sell to buyers, okay? If you have to go convince people what copywriting is, you're being a pioneer, which is admirable, but it's playing the game on hard mode. Now, we live in this world where we have this thing called an internet. You guys have heard it. Jonathan, you've heard of the internet.
No, what is it?
I know that in Canada they don't have the internet, but everywhere else that. So I'm just being a smart ass pattern. But you're online. You don't have to get clients in your country. You can go anywhere, wherever you go to any country. I mean, when I was doing copywriting, I had clients in other countries. In fact, my first client was I forget, it was somewhere in one of the Islamic countries, and he had to pay me by Western Union. That was the very first client I ever had, and it worked fine. So you don't have to limit yourself to that. If you choose to. Yeah, I don't know what to tell you, man. Maybe you should start your own agency there, but because there's no one there. You could be the first agency and just go out and get your own clients. And if you want to educate people on copywriting, that's fine. People do that. There's a course by, and I did not go through this course, but Doberman Dan, who Jonathan and I were just talking about before us, he's very jealous of me apparently.
Yes,
I'm doing this first. Doberman Dan and I, we've had this discussion already before too. But he bought this course from a guy named Harlan Kilstein. Now, I've only met Harlan once, and I really like the guy. And I know he's a very smart guy. He's very interesting guy. He just knows stuff. Okay, I don't know how he just knows a lot of stuff. And he has I don't know the name of this product. You could ask him, and maybe I'm getting him mixed up with someone else. Where he had a course that showed you how to go to people who don't know what copywriting is, because they can actually be a very profitable source of clients. Because it's like dumb money almost, like they don't know. You can tell them it's worth whatever, and as long as you're showing them results, what do they care? And they haven't been bogged down with all what we all know and what our clients would normally know. They don't. It's like a pond nobody else is fishing in. So it's worth it. If you really want to know, I would recommend asking him if this was probably 10 years ago when I saw this product, and I think it's him. If it's not, I don't know what to tell you. But see if he sells that product and buy it. And ask him if it'll help you with this, because it sounded to me from what I heard about it that's exactly what it does. So, all right, I'm going to go back to the Q&A box now.
Okay, I've got a couple of those noted just in case we need to come back.
Okay. Yeah, it's only been 16 minutes. I thought we were almost done already.
I told you 30 minutes, man. You fought me on it. Like our first show. No, it doesn't have to be an hour. Please.
Oh, it's fun. What are the advantages of producing a physical newsletter over a digital version besides being harder for people to share? Well, the thing about sharing, people could technically do you could do it. I hear there are ways to make it so it's hard to do that, but that's not why I do it. First of all, it depends on your market. If you're selling to millennials, and mostly millennials, you probably don't want a print newsletter. Unless they just happen to be a segment of that market. I happen to sell to people who are 35 and over. In fact, and I don't know how accurate Alexa is, but there was a time when it showed most of my people being over 60 years old. And
that doesn't surprise me.
If you saw the way I drive and what time I go to bed at night, believe me, I fit in. There's a reason I live in Bandon, Oregon, where the average age is 52. Or so, maybe it's higher than that. I don't know. This is my pace. All right. This is how I am. So these are my people. I know that they know me. I'm going to make a great old man soon. But I do that. I also like physical news. I don't like digital stuff. In fact, I'm phasing out all my digital products, and I only have one pretty soon. And that'll be an upsell to email players. I see no reason to make physical. But everything else now is physical because I like physical stuff personally, and I'm projecting what I like onto my market. And if they want what I have to say, they're just going to have to deal with it. But more than that, it's less hassle. Like whenever I sell digital stuff, I hate, I never got my password, or I couldn't download this, or 3 years later I bought this from you, can you send it to me? Like I hate all that stuff. Jonathan, I still get questions every now and then about Albembo's Apprentice. You know,
we got a support ticket this week, and I'm like, fuck.
God, it's annoying. I hate digital buyers. I can't stand them. Like I just cannot stand digital buyers as a whole. They are my Becky, digital buyers. Okay, they're my version of Becky. I keep plugging. By the way, go to thebeckycode.com. I mean, if you want to see an example of infotainment at its finest, just go to thebeckycode.com. I'm having so much fun just reading her site and her Facebook and her Twitter. And that's a whole different subject for a different time. But I wanted to give Catrice Jackson a little love on here. I find her fascinating. That's it. Back to physical newsletters. So that's one reason I do it, is because I'm projecting my biases onto my market, which I do not recommend you do until you've gotten to a point where people are just trust you at that point, where they know you know what's best for them. Another thing with physical products, and this isn't just newsletter, but physical products in general, is you're already paying to mail them something. Okay. And I don't charge shipping and anything, but if I did, they'd be paying for me to mail them something, even be better. Well, it doesn't really cost much to print up a few more pieces of paper and put a sales pitch for something else in the thing that you're already paying to send them. It's called a ride-along. The catalog industry has done this for decades. It's just the easiest way in the world. And I've started really doing this to a point now where I don't even give my catalog anymore to email player subscribers. I used to, because I'd only get like $400, $500, $600 a month in sales from back issues. Now I'm just putting one sales letter in, selling one thing, and I hate using the word 10x because it's just the gayest way of saying things these days. But literally, I'm 10 times in my sale so far. That may change, but it is what it is. So those are some reasons I do that. Who's next here? If you could change one thing, if I could change one, okay. Tom Schmidt F. Hey, by the way, let's do something fun here, Jonathan. Let's give them some love. The people who are actually asking questions, I want to give them some love. When you ask your question, Fernand, go ahead and put your URL in here, and I'll read your URL out too, and people will be able to see it. How's that?
How about that? Very generous.
That is mighty white of me, Jonathan.
Yeah, it's part of that white privilege thing.
Oh,
nepotism.
I've got plenty of it, and I'm sharing it. You can change one. So Tom Schmidt, I know people already asked their questions. They're kind of shit out of luck here. But if you could change one thing you did in your early info marketing career to be successful, faster, and more profitable, what would it be? I would have started mailing like right away. I was doing it wrong. The first 6 years, I was doing email completely wrong. I was doing it like everyone else does it. Mail, like I treat it like a booty call. Like a mail when I have something. I didn't mail every day. I didn't understand this. This was pre my Matt Fury stage. I mean, that guy changed everything for me when I read his stuff and I studied. Oh, by the way, I got to give Matt Fury some. He has a Facebook group. It's called Zen Email Mastery, I think, or something like that. You can easily find, unless he has it as a secret group, you should be able to find it. And you can buy his original course now, Jonathan, through his Facebook group. So I've been
the one that you have been telling everybody about.
Yeah, for years. I've been, and it's funny because a couple of years ago he sent me an email. He's like, I just want to thank you for sending me so much business. I'm like, to me, it's like, how could I not? It's like not telling people about Gary Bencivenga's course. I have to tell everybody. These are like the two things. Like you bring these two things together, and you cannot lose. So you can go to. I don't know what the URL is off the top of my head, but just go to Facebook, Matt Fury's email something. It'll come up. Join his group. And I'm pretty sure you can now get that. And he has a newsletter, a monthly newsletter again about email. And I think you have an option to get it physical or digital. I tried to get physical, but the post office just sucks. It's dropping the ball. So I've been getting it digitally. So he's an example of someone who's doing it digitally, a PDF. So I forgot who asked, what about the differences, but there's a guy who knows what he's doing, and he's doing it. There's no right or wrong way to do with continuity. It's whatever you like to do. Let's see. Did I even finish? Oh yeah. So that's what I do differently. All right. Next thing, I'm going to go to someone else here. Dave M., you've already asked your question, my friend. I'm going to Stephanie A. I'm assuming this is Stephanie Arroyo. I've noticed a few of your followers have print newsletters, inspired by you, no doubt. Who, in your opinion, should not have one? Well, the first person I say should not have one is Stephanie Arroyo, because that's why she did a membership site. She would be miserable doing a print newsletter. If you don't like to write, like, don't do it because you think it's cool. Do it because you actually like writing. Like, I can write an issue in like 2 or 3 hours, and I have a blast doing it, and I love doing it. I look forward to it every month. Sometimes, in fact, my old crypto marketing newsletter, which is no longer around, but I remember writing a whole year's worth of those out in advance. I just loved writing it, and I didn't have to do anything for like a year. It's great. I haven't done that with this one. I just stay like 3 months, 4 months ahead, and I still add stuff in. But people, if you don't like to write, if writing is painful for you, and I know people she's talking about. I know, Jonathan, you and I have friends who have print newsletters. I know for a fact would be much happier doing stuff with video or something. But they just stubbornly do because they think that's what they have to do. I'm just telling you, if you want to make life hard on yourself and you hate writing, by all means, do a print newsletter. I mean, don't let me stop you. I'm not here to tell you what to do. But you could do videos. I mean, my God, I wish I liked doing video, Jonathan. I wouldn't be doing a print newsletter. I'd be doing a video, and I'd get their snail mail address, and I'd be sending them stuff too. I mean, the real money in this continuity I'm finding is not in the digital side. It's getting their snail mail address and sending them snail mail offers, which, you know, I've been told for years, and I'm just now experiencing it to its fullest this year. But I'm a slow learner like everyone else. But I mean, I've been hearing this since like I got in this business. Direct to mail. I'm just having trouble using direct mail on the front end to get opt-ins, which I've had 2 of the world's highest knowledge direct mail guys tell me, Ben, unless you actually go to internet marketers and rent their list, there's no list for rent right now. So maybe that'll change someday, but those are the people who should not be doing it. And so thank you for your question, Stephanie Royal.
Listen to this guy. Nicely done.
All right, let's see. Who else should I? By the way, hold on, Jonathan. We're not going to leave this topic until we've discussed this. Hold on. You tried to sneak out of this. What's going on with your print newsletter? I got like a cancellation notice. Are you not doing it anymore?
I have decided to pivot like you did. So I love the newsletter, but I was boxed in. Like you went opposite. You went from crypto marketers to email players. So you went down. I felt boxed in by Podcast Mogul. So there might be something coming down the road Daddy's working that allows me to do the bigger picture that I'm working on.
Okay. I was just curious about that because I never got the memo on what was going on. I was curious about that.
Too many people jumped in the game, so I jumped out to look like I know something.
Well, that's the trick I like to use too. And it tends to work. Now, David M. Again. I don't like answering the same people's questions because there's plenty of other questions here. And I've already wasted the first 25 minutes on nonsense. But this is such a good question. I have to answer because this is so unique. I mean, I don't get to talk to people like this very often. I'll be running for local political office. And by the way, if I wanted to do it, people, I would do the same thing, but I don't. This is too many people. In fact, I was offered the position of vice president of the HOA, right? I'm like, I don't know. I don't, that's too much power concentrated in my hands, and it's probably not a good idea. Anyway, David Markov says, I'll be running for local political office. Any special tips on writing copy for the political market to voters? Both emails and longer pieces. Well, there's actually a lot. There's not much different, actually, than what I'm already teaching you. I will say this. I want you to go to Google, and I did an email players issue on this, but I'm not selling back issues right now, so I can't plug it. But if you go into Google and you type in New York Times, I believe it was New York Times, or just state Barack Obama's 2008 email campaign, and they did a long, detailed article on those guys generate like $600 million. By the way, everybody says social media is why he won 2008. No, 600. They got most of their money came from email. $600 million in donations. Now, some of it was a little shady, like they wouldn't really let you opt out, stuff like that. But that's not the point. They did it brilliantly. His team, they get my highest kudos on. Now, there's a lot of stuff they could have avoided because they're not really email. They were not direct response email marketers. Stuff that is like real common sense to everyone listening to this was like new to them, and they had to test their way in to find out some basics. But there's a lot of cool stuff you can learn about advertising for political stuff, especially email, by seeing how they did it. They did a really good job. Certainly better than the Republicans. They're like the worst marketers in the world. Democrats actually, I think, have much better marketing people. I don't know why that is, but they probably pay more. Who knows? Next question. Is there any good ones in the chat in the another box here?
Not anything that I've seen that's awesome, but I'll pull some more up. Let's see. There was a Matt Fury question.
Oh, I see that by Russell, right? Okay. I missed the name of the course or product that can change your direction by Matt Fury. It's called the Fury Formula. Fury Formula for Making a Fortune with Email. Don't Google it, because I don't even think it's on Google. And he's got several products out there. Join his Facebook group. Okay, I don't know what the URL is, but it's like email. You'll know it. Matt Fury email, Zen Master, something like that. You'll know it when you see it. There's the word email in it. Go there, and I at least he was. I'm sure he still is selling that course. I cannot recommend a product more than that course. I just can't. I mean, you could get rid of all your other courses and just like that is the foundational stuff. And it's brilliant. And Gary Bencivenga's $5,000 course. If you take those two things together for a $6,000 investment, you will make
small
one thin $6,000 note. You will, and you just go through those things at least 10, 15, 20 times and implement while you're doing it. I cannot imagine you not, as long as you have traffic in a list, of course. I mean, obviously, I can't imagine you not making a lot of money. That's my opinion about those are my two favorite people in the world. So anyway, so that's that.
I got one for you, Ben.
Okay.
Could you talk, and this is James Newberry, could you talk about the reciprocity principle? You seem to disagree with Cialdini's book. So can you talk to that?
Okay, so this is the only time, Jonathan, in the history of the universe, and I'm going to pronounce something correctly that I shouldn't. I believe it's Cialdini.
Cialdini.
Only I saw Ken McCarthy actually phonetically write it out, or however you say it, write it out like, here's what it sounds like. And I'm hooked on phonics all the way. So, so I actually have mocked this for marketers. Now, I'm not saying there's no basis in it, okay? But you got to think about this. So first of all, that book was written, and now if I got more light on me, it's because my sweatshirt that was taped up just came down. If my whiteness is more blinding than usual, I apologize, and it's coming down even more now. So back to Cialdini and the law of reciprocity. I'm not going to say it never worked, because he's done many scientific tests where it does work, right? But think about it from a long-term business point of view. Let's say somebody buys just because they feel the need to give back to you. Is that going to be a repeat buyer? Probably not. I mean, you may have buyers, but how many customers? Are you bringing them in the right way? Like, I'm not going to try to guilt people into buying from me. Now, it works. I mean, I'm not going to say it doesn't work. It definitely works. It can work all day long. But if you have the big picture in mind, is bringing them in that way really the thing that you want to do? Do you think that's going to, like, if they just bought because you made them feel sorry, you made them feel sorry for you because you gave away such a cool thing. And by the way, in today's internet world, he wrote that a long time ago. Today's internet, like, narcissistic world, nobody feels the need to be reciprocal. They don't. They feel like they deserve whatever you give them. In fact, they're like mad you didn't give it to them faster and more efficiently and with more pages, even though it's free. So I'm not scientifically tested this like he did. You use your common sense. You do with this info what you want. But that's the way I look at it. It's probably not the best way to bring people in.
So let me add to that, because James Newberry had some clarifiers here, and I screwed that up. But he says specifically in fundraising, is there any difference because it's in fundraising, or you still remain the same?
In fundraising, I think you have to do it. I don't know a way around it, and it works. And you can do it, but like, how many times have you gotten something from one of the organizations? They send you the envelope, stamps or the little return address. I never buy my return address shit from them. I thank you, I appreciate it, but I don't really get around to it. And they do a lot of marketing right. They do enough to make it worth their while. I've even gotten like a dime attached to it, the old Halbert style.
Yeah.
But here's how I've found. I've done a lot of. Okay, so let's talk about this, Jonathan. I don't know anyone who really does this, right? But I've done a lot. I've done enough for these where I know what I'm doing. And this goes back to 48 Laws of Power by Robert Greene. You got to appeal to people's wants. You can't they're not going to give you what you want because they feel sorry for you. You got to appeal to their desires. And it's very true. So whenever I'm trying to generate money for someone else, so for example, Orrin Hudson of BeSomeone.org, very, very good organization. Glenn Livingston turned me onto it. And, I did a little special for it. I basically said, if you donate $100 to this, I will give you what essentially turned out to be much more than $100 worth of retail value of stuff. I didn't say, do you feel bad for these poor kids, who have nothing and they're seeing violence every day and they're being, they've watched family members get shot in the face. I mean, some of these kids live the most horrific life. Now, you can talk about that, absolutely, and you should. But at the end of the day, if you want to, you got to appeal to people's desires too. So if you donate to this, I say, if you donate $100, I will give you all this stuff. And we generated a lot. In fact, it became, I wasn't expecting the response I got. It became this huge pain in the ass trying to get everybody's t-shirt size and everything. I got to really rethink this stuff or get an assistant, one of the two. But that's the only downside is you have to deal with it. But you have bribe people into giving for fund. I don't know why you don't see more bribes in fundraising. I really don't. I have no idea why. To someone's own list, to a cold list, you can still do it. I mean, but especially to your own list, you have products that people want. Assuming you have products people want, why don't you say, if you give this, I'll give you that? Or make deals with other people so that they will donate something if they buy. So appeal to people's desires. Don't just appeal to their sense of guilt. Do both, obviously. But, that's how and that's how I've done it. I've generated over 10 grand for the dog shelter. I got my dog. This thing's just coming down now. I don't know. For Orrin Hudson stuff, and I did it for my cousin. He did some eye surgery or something, so I did it for that once. A friend of mine had a stroke at 33 years old, and he had a GoFundMe. I helped him with that. Shane Hunter knows I've done this for him and his wife's wild Mustang. They go out and take in wild Mustangs and train them up. You do this, but I never just ask for people to give money. I say, I will give you this if you give to that. And it's always been way more successful than if I just came out with my hat in hand saying, oh, whoa, they need money. So that answers it. Oh, here's a question I got to answer. This is from an anonymous viewer.
Anonymous.
What we like to call a coward around here. Is it really possible to become a paid email writer in 30 days with your 10-minute workday program?
Uh-oh.
So anonymous, Mr. and Mrs. I don't know who this is. I don't think you really have read the sales letter for the 10-minute workday, because it's not about how to become a paid email writer. It's about how to become a client list writer. So you sell your own stuff. So for anyone watching this, the 10-minute workday, which we just had a sale on, and now you have to wait probably 6 or 9 months till they do another one. It's not for how to get clients. It's for how to make yourself your own client. And by the way, I might as well distinguish this. I have a new product that only email players subscribers are seeing. It's called the Email Players Lifestyle. It's not the same as a 10-minute, because I know someone's going, what's the difference? Well, It's a huge difference. It's for 10-minute workdays for people who know nothing and they're copywriters and they don't know how to start a business or anything. Email Players Lifestyle is for people who already have a business, already have a product, already have a list. They already know how to do a funnel. They already know all that, but they're working too many hours and they just want to bring it down. So I throw that in there for anyone on here who's wondering that.
Who's trolling.
Yeah. So there we go with that. Is there any questions here that stick out to you, Jonathan?
Let's see. I'll come back to the reserve here.
And Kyle said something I see about the way I do fundraising. That approach also gets you a better quality donor. I totally agree. And not someone who feels they can dictate and judge your advocacy because they own you. Exactly. That's another thing. You're doing them the favor. So anyway, go ahead, Jonathan.
Here's one from Tim. I'm working on integrating a print newsletter into my business so I can start doing direct mail to my list. Do you have any recommendations for how far in advance I should write the newsletters? When I launch, should I have at least 3?
Well, that's what I did. But that's just how I work. So I'm going to try to speak about something that I'm not an expert at. Okay. But I know enough about it to be very dangerous to everyone within my vicinity. So I learned a lot from Stephanie Royal about personality types, right? Especially the Myers-Briggs stuff, which, is kind of like astrology and it's a lot of bullshit, but there's some truth in it. And it helps you. I already know who I would hire if I need an assistant now because of this stuff and who to not joint venture with. It's actually been very valuable to know. So I'm the kind of personality type that I got to have it all done and in order. And I don't want to think about it. I don't like chaos. I like it all figured out, right? If Tim has got that kind of personality, yes. But if you're not, if you're like most people who are what are called Ps, you can't impose a deadline on them. You can. They're going to do it the last minute and they're going to do, they're going to do how they're going to do it. But I've also found that it's almost better to let them be chaotic, to actually do a better job if they just revel in their chaos, which I cannot tolerate being around. So that's why I can never hire a P for anything. So I've learned my lesson on that. But they do their best when they're in chaos. They're not good with structure. They would probably do a terrible job. So it depends on how you are. If you're like me and you just like to have it done, so you have to think about it, yes. Otherwise, you might want to do it like Gary Halbert used to do. His like the last minute. Like he would say, "Oh, I'm a day late writing this. It was supposed to be in the mail yesterday." You know, that's just how he was, right? And he probably did better work as a result. So that's all I got for that. Any other good ones here, Jonathan?
I am digging around here to see if I find anything else that looks good.
Oh, here we go. Top 5. Okay, this is from Nikki D's. Nikki D's.
Nikki D's.
It's like Mickey D's. Sorry, Nikki. Look, I'm going to troll you. Okay, you have a name like Nikki D's. Okay. Top 5 copywriting materials in no specific order that you must go through, not including Copy Slacker, because Nikki D's smart enough to know that I would have said Copy Slacker. Well, I actually have a top 10 list on my blog somewhere, but just top of my head, just for copyright. Now, we're not talking about emails. We're talking about sales letters, right? So the top for copyright would be Gary Bencivenga's, farewell course for sure. I mean, that's a must. I would say Ken McCarthy's course for copyright. If you go to kenmccarthy.com, it's there. I wrote the sales letter for it actually many years ago, like 2006. So he likes it still. I would do a lot.
Still going, huh?
I would do a lot of different stuff to it now if I could. But you and I sold it to my old podcast, and it did really well. It did It's a click or something like that. It's a great product. It's very. But the thing is, if you get his product, don't go acting like don't go getting butthurt if it's not full of sexy stuff, because it's not. It is as dull. It's not shiny object. It's dull, unpolished object like the stuff I sell. There's nothing, but it's pure raw fundamentals, and it's stuff everyone needs to know, and most people skip over, and that's why they struggle. So I cannot recommend it enough. And that's at Ken McCarthy. And then you got Gary Bencivenga's, which if you go to marketingbullets.com, I think it's there somewhere. Eugene Schwartz's Breakthrough Advertising is a must-have, and not just one read-through, but be prepared to read it at least 5 to 10 times, if not more. I'm going to bust it out again later, actually. Probably this year will be like my 21st reading of it. I'm still getting stuff out. It's just so deep. You can go into that well forever. There's 3. I learned a lot from the copywriting issues of the Gary Halbert newsletter. In 2002, the late Scott Haynes was selling just the copywriting issues. They were bundled together. There's 24 of them. I don't think you can buy it anywhere unless you contact the Gary Halbert family, maybe. But I went through those like they were just the copywriting issues. Huge help, giant help. And finally, John Carlton's Kick-Ass Copywriting Secrets of a Marketing Rebel. If you go through those 5 products 10 times each, I cannot imagine you not writing sales letters that just blow everybody away that you're competing against. That's my guess. And not just read them, but with understanding, do what they tell you to do. It's hard work to learn this stuff. I'll say copywriting is, I just did a video yesterday about this, Jonathan. Copywriting is not hard, but there are a few learning curves you got to get through to get decent enough at it. And while we're talking about this, Jonathan, I'm going to get a little selfish here. Let's talk about this video. Did you watch the video I put up on YouTube last night?
Brand new video. I haven't seen it yet.
Okay. Well, basically, it's about why copywriting is not hard. And instead of sending you to the link, I'm going to waste some valuable time here talking about this. So it was like 2 weeks ago. There's this guy I know, a friend of my brother. I like the guy. He's a good guy. I've actually consulted him once many years ago. Good guy. Right? I don't say anything bad about him. I think he's a great guy. I think he's trying to learn. He's doing a great job from what I can tell. But he was on Facebook complaining about, he goes, is it just me or is copywriting really hard? I know you saw this post, John.
The original post, yeah.
Yeah, you saw it. And so, everybody's having a candlelight vigil about how hard it is, right? Oh, it's so hard. And I just said, no, it's only hard if you don't know your market. And I really believe this. And I'm proof of this because I'm not that naturally gifted with copy. I'm just not. But what I can do is talk to someone in the market and let them tell me everything I need to know. Or if it's a client, have them tell me they need to know. And transcribe that talk, smooth it out into a sales letter. Very simple. So that's something to think about. If you go to my YouTube channel, which I'm not even sure what the URL is, it's up. Actually, it's unlisted, so I guess you're kind of shit out of luck. But maybe one day, maybe I'll put it on a future podcast or something. But basically, the long story short is it's not hard if you know your market. So know your market better than anyone else. Know a few things about copywriting, how to structure sales. It's very easy. All right, enough of that.
So let's see. With shorter and shorter attention spans, how do you think sales pages and copywriting will look in 15 to 20 years?
People keep telling me that there's this new format, right? And everybody's seen it, where it's very attention friendly. It's like, when you're scrolling, every screen is something different. And I assume it's for the short attention span. And I've had a few A-list copywriters tell me that this is a thing, that they're all testing it and it works. Not always, but it works better in some cases. I would be so bored writing an ad like that. I got to do it old school direct response style. Now, here's the thing. It may not be the best way to do it. I don't know. I'm not going to test it either. I don't care. The thing is, as long as you focus on offering people what they want, you're not going to lose their attention. They're going to read 100 pages if it's not boring to them. They won't read that one screen in the fancy sales letter if it bores them. So I don't think it'll change much in 15 years. Who knows in 15 years? I do know that everybody's like a social media expert now, right? Like 15 years from now, it'll be something else and all these same people will be experts at that suddenly. And I'll still be using email probably. So we'll see if email's even around. And if it's not, I will simply take this skill and adapt it to something else. And that's what I encourage everyone to do, is not just don't just think of it as email you're learning. You're learning persuasive communication as a whole. How I write my emails is how I do my podcast with Jonathan. It's how I talk on stage. It's how I write sales letters. It's how I write content, and like my villains book and stuff. It's how I create everything. There's no difference. It all blurs together. In fact, I submitted an article to returnofkings.com, Jonathan. It's a couple months ago, and I basically took the last chapter of my villains book, which is about the 13 ways the Joker makes impact. You cannot forget the Joker. You cannot be indifferent to him. You can hate him, you can love him, but you're never indifferent to him because he has impact. And I just took that off because he was offering, taking submissions, and I thought it'd be kind of fun. I think from what I know of that site, there's people who are in internet marketing there, and I get some leads. And he rejected it. He goes, I keep feeling like you're going to sell me something. He's not wrong. I write it in copywriting. That's how I write. And I took it as a compliment. I'm like, well, now I have reached where I want to be. That's what I want. I want it to be, you don't know if it's what it is. You just know you can't stop reading it from sentence to sentence. So in hindsight, I think he was right. I don't think it would have fit his site at all. But, that's where you want to get to, that place where people are like, this isn't boring writing. It sounds like a sales pitch. That's fine. But did you read the whole thing? And did you respond to it? So that's my answer for that one.
All right, let's see. There's a Ben asking about using email copy or creating a business around writing daily emails for info marketers. Do you think that sounds legit? Maybe I hacked it. It sounds like a question that should be yes, but maybe I'm missing something here. Isn't that what we all do? Creating a copy business for info marketers who might need somebody to write daily emails. Yeah, I think that sounds like everybody on your list.
Yeah, I've been going out of order on these questions. So I probably am missing some good ones here.
All right. How about, since we're getting close to the end here, how do you determine, and this is Kevin McCartney, not to be confused with Ken McCarthy, how do you determine what to make your flagship product that you sell in every email versus back-end products and upsell, so more technical?
Well, I think you want to sell the general thing, right? But that people really need to understand the rest of what you're going to do. So, for example, now, I don't recommend everybody sell continuity up front. I don't think most people can pull it off. If you can, great, do it. But there's nothing wrong with having a flagship book or product or whatever it is, audio, video, it doesn't matter, first, and then selling content after that. One of my favorite examples would be Mike Dillard. Now, I don't know if you guys know who Mike Dillard is. Recently, there was a video put out that was not very flattering of me by this guy named Everett. I think it's Everett Farnell or something like that. I forget his name. I'm obsessed with this guy. I just love this guy. He's like the troll I've been waiting for my whole life. It's long video. It's like this 15-minute video about how I'm like the tallest midget in the room, and I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. It was beautiful.
Oh, I got to see this.
I think I listened to it like 8 times. I just loved it, and I trying to like milk it for all it's worth. I sent him like 500 viewers. You'd think he'd be thanking me. There's nobody else. But then he had like 31 thumbs downs and like 1 thumbs up. But getting back to
I gotta see that.
My point is, this video, he starts out by knocking Mike Dillard, right? Now, Mike Dillard is a client. He was a client of mine. He opened a lot of doors for me. A very smart guy. I think the guy's great. I don't know why he's being dogged by Everett, the old bear. He calls himself the old bear. So I'll just call him Old Bear for now, because I forget how you say his last name. And I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing his first name right. And I do not want to disrespect the old bear. So I just call him the old bear. He did not like Mike Dillard's stuff. Okay, needless to say, he started out with that, and then he segued into me and how evil I am and everything. And then he segued into Frank Kern. I have nothing really bad to say about Frank Kern. He just said what he teaches won't work for everybody. Which, by the way, I learned from Adel. How do you say Adel's last name? You know what I'm talking about. Adel, Adil. He's not on here.
No, I don't know. Don't drag me into
Maybe
that.
somebody can. I love Adel. I don't want to say. Somebody chat his last name, please, into the box. The last two people listening to this. Nobody's going to help me out. All right, whatever. So Adel. I was on his podcast last week, and he told me, he goes, but what Old Bear did was basically, Amarsi. That's right, Amarsi. I think that's how you pronounce it. Great guy. I've known him for like 10 years, and he's just, I like the guy. Anyway, he was telling me how he basically did what Caleb O'Dowd, who I guess was a Halbert protege and all that. Now, this is all hearsay on my part, okay? So somebody wants to go tell what I'm telling lies, but I'm not. This is where I heard. So apparently, Caleb O'Dowd was asked, "What would if you're starting out fresh right now? What would you do?" He goes, "Well, I'd go after Frank Kern because then you get automatic like attention, right? Like it makes sense, and there's nothing wrong. Like the reality is going after someone, and it could be a way to brand you to kind of get on the map. The problem is you have to know what you're talking about. You got to actually say something. You got to call something legitimate out for one thing, and then have a legitimate solution for it. Well, that's not what Old Bear did at all. He just was going on, so he did it wrong, and it shows in his response. And so it'd be. I don't even know where I'm going with all this, but back to Mike Dillard. So Mike Dillard, when I did copywriting for him, he had a flagship product called Magnetic Sponsoring, and it was about his way of sponsoring people in the MLM, getting people to come to you instead of you chasing them. Okay, but that was what they sold on the front end for the most part. From what I remember, that was their flagship product. Now, after that, then they branched out in copywriting and generating leads, and closing people on the phone and using pay-per-click and all that. And that was always that's a very wise way to go about it. Get them in with the flagship thing. A lot of people are afraid to do this, but that's because they have not, Jonathan, unlike you and me, have not studied the great Sean D'Souza. If they had, they would know that this is actually the way to do it. This is how it's always been done, actually, up until the internet. Like nobody just mailed out stuff. They get you in first. Dan Kennedy, I mean, there's a reason why he would go over 300 times a year. He would travel to seminars to pitch magnetic marketing and not all of his other stuff, because that's what got you in. And then from there, he could sell you his other stuff. And so it is. So as far as how to pick it, you just got to look at what you're offering and what's the most logical thing to bring them in with that gets them in your world, that's going to give them a great experience that they're going to benefit from. And then you can branch out from there.
This is a good one. I came across Patrice O'Neill through you a little while back.
Yes.
Massive thank you. What is the most important piece of advice you've taken from the Black Phillip show that's made the biggest impact on your business?
God, that might be the best question of all. Who asked this? Who asked this question?
Kieran?
Is there a last name?
Sam? Kieran Sam?
All right, Kieran, I want you to send me your email or your snail mail address to ben@bensettle.com. And I'm going to send you some stuff just for asking this great question. You are getting some goodies with. I don't even know if I have an answer to this question. There's so much I learned from that show. But I would say the most important is giving people options for thinking differently. This is the key for guys, at least, for dating, like giving them ways of. Remember, I'm on the podcast, we talked about this many times. We're like, if you don't want to bore, if you're a guy and you don't want to bore a girl, just disagree with her about something she's passionate about. And he gave all kinds of examples, but you just disagree with her. Find out she hates Trump. You say, Trump's a pretty good president. And then now you have something to argue, and then give her a reason why you think he's a good president. And now you cannot bore that person. They're engaged with you at that point. And you're giving them an option for thinking about something different, or vice versa. Maybe You say, well, maybe she's a Trump supporter. Well, Hillary had some good points, and you get her all worked up on that. You do the same in marketing and business. I love to give people options for thinking differently. It's something at the early part of my career, I would kind of do very softly because I didn't want to upset upset anybody. Now I want to upset people. I want to give people options. Why do you think I'm pressing the Becky code? You know how many white people don't like me doing this right now? She's got a point. She has many good points, just from what I've seen, about certain type of people that I don't like either, the Beckys. I don't like them for different reasons. She doesn't like them, but I can give people options for thinking differently. And by doing that. And it gives me something new to talk about and to engage with people about. And so it is. So giving people options for thinking differently. Most people are very set in what they believe. If you can give them an alternate thing that makes them pay attention to you. This is why, for example, Gary Bencivenga has these headline form of the case against, right? The case against XYZ, which doesn't sound like a headline at all, does it? But that format works really well for a lot of things. Well, you give the case against something someone's already doing and they have their personality wrapped up in, they have to listen to you. They cannot turn away. If you were to come on here and this is going to be the case against Ben Settle, and then you would have to say, well, wait a minute. Or let's say I have a really expensive seminar I'm going to put on, a $10,000 ad seminar. And then somebody sends you a direct, not me, but somebody else sends you a letter saying the case against going to Ben Settle's seminar. You would have to read it because you have money invested in that. You have thought invested in it, emotion, and it gives them options for. And now the key here is to actually have something that gives them a counterpoint of view. And you're not just doing it to do it. See, a lot of people do this just to do it, and they look like idiots. They look like there's a good kind of troll and there's a bad kind of troll. That's the bad kind of troll. They're like the Omega Male, Beavis and Butthead sitting in the basement eating Cheetos and watching porno, and then taking shots at people anonymously is not the way to do it. The troll people, you got to actually have a point of view that you know is right and that you're countering that. And so that's one of the most important things I learned from him. And I think it applies to a lot of different things.
All right. We've done the 60 minutes allotted. Do you want to get any of these last? There's a few small ones there. Or do you want to just call it a day, bro? Well,
we'll do whichever. Are there 3 left?
It looks like there's 4 of them left. They look like all questions. Ben, does article marketing still work?
I believe I haven't done it in a while, but yes. That's like medium.com. I'm hearing a lot of good stuff about. So,
all right. Jim asks, how do you know when you're done with your market research?
When you can write the sales letter without even looking at the product. You've done enough market research.
All right. Sven says, I have noticed your offers are time-based, specific products and email players too. Is an offer without a deadline a no-no these days?
Well, I mean, you can do them, but you should have some kind of deadline because nothing gets done without a deadline. That's why, we're talking about the P's out there, not the J's like me. I do things early. I got my homework done early. Most people are not like that. They will put it off forever. So I think if you can put a deadline on there somehow, even if it's to get a specific bonus, do it.
And a great one to end on by Tom Schmidt. If you could change one thing you did in your early info marketing career to be successful, faster, and more profitable, what would it be?
I would have been daily emailing way earlier, 8 years earlier or 6 years earlier. And I said that earlier, but there's no other answer. That's what I would have done.
All right. It looks like, Ben, we got all the questions, bro. We crushed it in our 60-minute time frame. Anything else?
That's it. That's all I got. Unless you got something you want to add.
I do. So since we're putting this up on the podcast, what can we expect next time?
So I'm going to do a series. The next 4, I'm going to spotlight each of the people on my Mount Rushmore and what I've learned from them and what knowledge I've just learned. I'm not going to give their proprietary secrets away, but my Mount Rushmore, I did that back in, I think, January. The Mount Rushmore idea I got from Brian Kurtz, who's here's the 4 people on his Mount Rushmore of copywriting, the 4 best copywriters or the 4 best whatever. I'm going to be talking about my 4 favorite. Each episode would be spotlighting just one of them. So that's the next 4 of them.
I did not expect you to be prepared. That's what I get. I should know better. Right. All right, Ben, good stuff. Thank you, everybody, for asking questions. And another BenSettleShow.com, Ben Settle podcast thingy is in the can.
You've been listening to the bensettle.com podcast. To download yourself a free issue of Ben's prestigious $97 per month email players newsletter, which is going to show you 24 ways to write emails people eagerly read, click, and buy from, head on over to www.bensettle.com. Well, off you go. You know it makes sense.
This is thepodcastfactory.com.